the first webinar for Sage 50 Cloud Pastel Accounting in 2022. Our topic is on data integrity, the importance of running it, as well as how to upload your data off of the zones and then download them. As advised, due to technical issues, I will not be able to show you live how to upload and download, but I will show you and demonstrate everything else. For those very small sections, guys, what I will do is I will just use my notes that are on the KB. So guys, firstly, what we need to check and what we need to ask is why is data integrity so important? Why do we need to run it? A question that I often get year on year is, oh, isn't this just like part of the year-end checks? So guys, yes, running the data integrity is part of the year-end checks, but actually running data integrity throughout the year is really important because it checks the integrity of your data. At various points when it's checking your data, it's checking certain things. The first thing that it checks is that accounts exist. GL accounts, sub-accounts, customer accounts, supplier accounts, inventory accounts. That's where on occasion you'll start to run the data integrity and immediately it'll throw out an error and it'll go missing accounts. If it tells you missing account, but it does not tell you what account is missing, or it gives you 0000, that is a data fix immediately. That is not the account that's missing, but it's not telling us what account is missing, which again means we need to go find the missing accounts. However, guys, if it does give you a list of accounts, whether it is general ledger accounts, customer accounts, supplier accounts, or items, you need to go and create those missing accounts before the data integrity will continue. That's all it's checked when it's run, is do all the accounts exist? Are there missing accounts where I have descriptions? That's it. The moment it picks up that there are, it stops checking. So please don't assume, oh, I ran the integrity, I created these accounts, they're fine. That your data may not be fine. In fact, in 9 out of 10 cases, you will get errors after creating the account. So you need to go and create those accounts. Yes, you may not know what they are. You may look at this and go, what is this? Especially if it's a general ledger. Is this a balance sheet? Is this an income statement? What should I put it under? Guys, unfortunately, in that case, use your best guess. The thing is, once you run the data integrity, hopefully you'll be able to see, oh, this should be a balance sheet, this should be an income statement, this is where it should have fitted in, or we will be able to tell you. But make your best guess. It's like with a customer, supplier account, and inventory item, if you don't know the description, you're like, this is there, but I don't know what description to use because it says there's history for this account, but I don't know. Just put there add description or add me. You know, you don't have to be exact. It's just that account needs to be there in order for the integrity to continue, even if it's missing items, missing customers, missing suppliers. So you would need to run that. However, that being said, please make sure that you always make a backup. So guys, a lot of times people don't make a backup. They will just run the data integrity and then there is no backup. And in very, very rare situations, I think I've only actually ever seen it once in 12 years, the data integrity has caused something to go wrong with the data. So when you're doing a data integrity, or when you're doing a stock take, or when you're doing anything that may be checking the data or changing the data, even rebuilding files, guys, you have to make a backup because something may happen in the checking that changes information in your company, and then you're going to be like, all I did was run a data integrity, it said no errors, but this is now missing, or this has gone wrong. It's very rare that that happens with data integrity, but I have seen it, as I said, only once in my 12 years of working with Sage, but I have seen it. So always make a backup. You can never have too many backups, and those of you that have attended these for the years that I've run them know what I'm like on backups. So make your backup. You can make a quick backup to your C drive, even though it's telling you, you know, this is your local drive, and we know that's not the best option. This is a quick backup in case anything goes wrong. You can just restore it. This is not, these are my backups I'm going to use if unfortunately my system crashes or unfortunately someone breaks in and steals my equipment. Those are always on external devices. An external hard drive, a CD, a flash stick, something like IronTree, your OneDrive, you know, those are for those situations. And those you should also do regularly because you don't want to have to redo data, redo transactions. But this is a quickie. This is just a, if something's immediately wrong, I can restore from. Guys, then we go to data integrity and you say next, verify the data only. That is the check that we generally do to actually check that your information is correct and there are no integrity checks. Now the integrity, this specific check probably picks up about 99% of errors. There are some that it will not pick up, that you'll be like, I ran the integrity check, it said it was clear, but this is happening. Again, guys, those are very rare cases. There are certain open item or a very specific case of open item. We know exactly in the back end how that writes. And sometimes that is not picked up on the data integrity, but when you view your aging, it tells you that you have open item. So there are ways to find that, but it's not often. The other time that this occurs is, and this I've seen a few times, again, it's super rare, but I have seen it a couple of times where you can reprint documents, but they do not show on your customer or your supplier detailed ledger. They do not show in the accounts. You've checked your sales account, you've gone and checked your cost of sales account and it is missing. So you can print the document, but you cannot find it anywhere in your general ledger or your reports. It also won't pick that up because, guys, when it runs the integrity, as I said, firstly, it checks if all of your accounts exist. If there's history for an account that does not exist, whatever account that is, GL, customer, supplier, item. From there, it then checks that basically, and here I'm not sure of the exact order, but it does a check where it checks all of your debits and your credits balance. Now, as I mentioned, if it's not showing anywhere in the GL, there is no mismatch for debits and credits because both the debits and the credits are missing for those transactions. Basically, guys, in that situation, it's written to the history headers and history lines and nowhere else. So that's why that specific thing doesn't come up, because the integrity checks, do my debits and credits actually balance? Then it also checks my main accounts, my sub accounts, do those balance? So it does a number of checks. And that's where it'll then spit out something. It'll go, okay, based on checking all of these different accounting principles, here's a list of problems. You know, I checked the transaction history against the open item history, and this customer, their open item doesn't match. You have open item corruption or main sub-account period imbalances. And that's where you need to send your data through to us. So as I said, guys, the first check is, do I have history for accounts that do not exist? If you do, create those accounts and then run the data integrity again, because there's a 9 out of 10 chance you are going to get told that you have errors, and they're going to be transaction versus main account or period imbalances or something like that, because it's probably an account that had history. And when you create it, it's going to create as a 0 account. So it's going to tell you, hey, something doesn't balance here. If it's a customer account, it's probably going to tell you that your customer control account doesn't balance because this customer was missing and right now it has 0 balance. So we need to go fix that, but you need to create those accounts first. And then, guys, once you've run it, you just go run, and ultimately what you want to see is no errors detected. So that doesn't necessarily mean that your company doesn't have a problem, but in 9 out of 10 cases, that is the case. It means that your data is fine, everything is basically balancing, and you don't need to worry. And guys, this is really important. It's important to run the integrity check for that reason, to actually know that, yes, I have peace of mind that the financial reporting I'm doing is correct. Now, I'm running this webinar here because a lot of people will start running this integrity check in February. And guys, this obviously frustrates you as customers when you get told, hey, Yeah, you have data integrity issues. No, you cannot run the year end with those because, guys, there are very rare cases where you get a report on the data integrity that gives you errors and we're like, look, it's fine. You can run the year end and book your data in when you have time. Most of the time we're going to go, yeah, you need to book your data in. And guys, what you've got to remember is if everyone is only doing that check as the pre-year end check, everyone who has an issue is now trying to book their data in, and then our turnaround time goes from 24 hours to like 48 to 72 hours. Generally, we do still get it to you within 24 to 48 hours, but there are times where if we just have too much booked in, it may be that that turnaround time actually becomes 72 hours. So guys, it's 1 to 2 to 3 working days. And obviously, a lot of people, especially over year end, you can't afford that kind of downtime. You're like, okay, but I've got stuff to do. I've got to do my stock takes. I've got to do my foreign currency revaluations. So guys, that's why I wanted to do this, because it's that time of the year where you need to start thinking about these things. You need to start preparing. Most people's year end finishes at the end of Feb. Yes, a lot of people do 13th period, but guys, you need to start thinking about this now. You do not want to be caught suddenly having to give up 3 days that you don't have because you've got integrity issues. I would run that check today, check if you have anything, and if you do, book it in for a fix, like ASAP. Be like, hey, this needs to be fixed because I do not want to have errors and be told that I can't do my year end. Okay, guys, I've got a problem where my sound has cut out. So guys, I just want to check, is my sound cut out for everyone, or did my sound just cut out for a specific person? If you can still hear me, please let me know. If you can't, guys, again, no one will answer then. I just need to know if you can hear me. I'm not sure. And the screen freezes. Okay, perfect. The sound is back. Okay, guys, I have sent a response to everyone. If the sound disappears for you or the screen freezes, sometimes it is my side, but sometimes it's not. You just need to refresh F5 or Control F5. Control F5 is a hard refresh. Okay, perfect. Everyone can hear me. I'm very happy. Okay, so guys, I think that we've discussed the importance of running the integrity check, but there are also other options on the integrity check. So your main one is to verify the data only, but there are other options here, like rebuild tax periods and dates only, rebuild inventory category files, verify history files only, and rebuild batch quantities only. And I've been asked questions about these where people are like, okay, what is that and when would I use those? So guys, generally the rebuild tax periods and dates only were actually for the old reports. So while you can run it and it could have an impact if, for example, you are viewing your tax reports and you notice that there are transactions missing, you've viewed the tax reconciliation report, which is a really cool report, guys. It'll tell you the period that you process certain transactions in, as well as the tax period they should fall in. And it will actually give you the VAT or the tax category you selected, the tax type. So if you accidentally use 00, which is the most common cause of that, you know, their transactions missing, we view that and we're like, well, 00 was used. That's where you would see it, because 00 is not included on tax reports. But if you viewed that and still stuff is missing, you could try doing this. It may help. Normally what we advise is that you turn off Tax Manager and you view your old reports. Now, as I said, this does rebuild the tables that we used for the old reports. So that's why I'm like, if the old reports are correct, then at least it should filter into the new DAT files that we use, because it does pull from those. But honestly, at this point, I no longer think that that one is applicable. It was applicable for that period in time. I have made my dev aware of this and say, guys, I don't think that's really applicable anymore unless it rebuilds the new DAT files. So I'm waiting for feedback on that, but that was its purpose, you know, to actually rebuild that and make sure that all the information you had processed in Pastel was pulling through to the tables in PCC that we use to populate your tax reports. Then the rebuild inventory category file, guys, I think that that's like pretty much, it says what it does. If your inventory categories aren't pulling through, if you're having issues, you can just rebuild them. What it'll do is it'll go through, it'll make sure that they're okay, and hopefully from there, you will be able to set everything up. So guys, it's just the category file, it's just a rebuild. That doesn't mean that it'll necessarily fix anything with the categories. It depends what it is, but it will rebuild them. Honestly, I've never seen inventory categories cause an issue in Pastel. Groups, yes, categories, no. But that's what it does. Then guys, this one is a big one because a lot of people do not understand what the verify history files is. They run it and they're like, okay, I ran this and it so is not working. Like, I don't understand what's happened, but I still have missing headers or I still have missing lines. Why? Guys, you're verifying the history. So I totally understand why people are confused, but that's why I'm here. You are verifying the history. So you are checking, okay, I seem to have a problem and we may ask you to run this, especially if you're telling us that if you go to view inventory history and either one of these, but generally we'll do item sequence. If you run this and you go, okay, my item sequence says X, but if I look at my item sequence, so I'm just in the demo, okay, I didn't really select anything, but let's say this gives you a figure and then you were to go and view that same item and you check the activity and you're like, these two aren't corresponding. There is a reason for this, guys. Your item history, this report pulls from your history headers and history lines. However, your activity pulls from your multi-store transaction file. So they're pulling from different DAT files. And if you tell us that, one of the things that we may make you do is we may make you go to File, Data Integrity, and we're going to tell you to verify the history files only. Because what that's going to do is that's going to tell you, hey, I have a header for these items. Generally, it won't tell you if headers are missing. That's something we will get your data info and check and be like, oh, there's missing headers. And luckily, you can create missing headers from lines, but you can't do the reverse. So this basically checks that. It goes, I have these headers, but there are no lines for these headers. So I know that a document was processed for JOA 001 for 5,000 Rand on this date by user 3. But I don't know what made up the 5,000. Now, guys, I'm sure that from that you can understand that we can't recreate lines because we also don't know what made up the 5,000. No one in my data fix team can do that. I can't do it. The other specialists can't do it because we weren't there. We don't know what it was made up of. And so in that instance, the lines are missing. Now, as I said, that report where you might find a difference pulls from the lines. And that would then mean that technically your quantities are wrong. So your activity may be right and your actual, you know, history is wrong because it's pulling from the lines, but it can only pull the lines it can see. And all that this does is verify that. It'll just tell us, look, this is how many lines are missing. Hopefully there's no report or it's a very small report. But if that happens, there's actually nothing that we can do to recreate those lines. All that we know is that this was the invoice and that is the value. But which items made up that value, how much they were, guys, we can't recreate that. And to fix that would be a monumental task and it would be hours of work. So it's not something that we offer a data fix on, but it would give you an idea of, oh, this is why. Then there are things past that. So this is to verify, to know, okay, this is happening. Then we need to identify, why is it happening? Is it a network issue? You know, was there possibly just a dip in the system? Or do you have a very long list, and what things do we need to check? And guys, we will give you recommendations. We can't tell you 100% why something happens. Every environment is different. Every PC environment, or I don't know how to put that, but like your networking, your system environments. Thank you. Every system environment is different. No two system environments are actually the same, and at times they're going to behave differently. So a lot of the time this is environmental, but there are things that we can advise to you. We can say, look, does this happen a lot? Does that happen a lot? Maybe you need UPSs. Maybe it's a switch issue. You know, and we can give you recommendations to try to make the system as stable as possible and try to make sure this doesn't happen. But that is what that verify means. It will not fix it. It will just tell you, yes, you have missing lines. And then guys, the rebuild batch quantities, how that works is you have a specific file that constantly has a running total for your inventory quantities. And this is made up of posted and unposted batches. So that file, every time you create a new batch, should actually update itself. And it should, when you go to activity, show you this is your sales, these are your purchases, these are the quantities on hand, and if you have an open batch, there should be something in unposted. That's how it should work. Whether it does work like that at times is not always. At times, it may tell you that you have unposted, but you have no open batches. That is where you would run this. Those of you that do a stock take, or in Pastel, it's called a count inventory, you will know that it always asks you to do this. And guys, the reason for that is, while yes, it should automatically update, it doesn't always. And what you're telling the system to do is go, listen here, what I want you to do is I want you to go into the system, check if they're open batches, if they're not open batches, double check that all of those quantities in this little table are correct, and that's what it's doing. It's making sure that I have not missed a batch being updated, or I have not missed a batch being created, or I have not, you know, missed something to do with my quantities, an inventory journal. And you're making sure that it is corresponding to the quantities based on everything that you've done in Pastel. So it checks your inventory multi-store file, it checks your history lines, your history headers, and it tries to make sure that it has calculated all of the quantities correctly, so that when you do your snapshot, it is as close to accurate as possible. Because there's nothing worse than having an inaccurate snapshot and you update your quantities and then, you know, suddenly you have to run a stock fix or whatever it is, or you then go and do the rebuild batch quantities and suddenly all of your quantities are different. You're like, well, that just was a complete waste of a day. So it's very important to actually run that, especially when doing account inventory. And then guys, we've spoken about the verify data only. So guys, before I move on to if you have errors, how you make backups in certain situations, how you upload those backups and everything, I do want to ask, does anyone have any questions on the data integrity? Is there any way that I maybe lost anyone, where you guys maybe need me to go through that again? Please let me know in the chat. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes just to see if there are any questions around that, anything that you need a better explanation for. Please let me know. Guys, I see that there was someone saying that it was echoing very, very badly. Please let me know if other people are receiving the echo. That could be where I'm sitting in my house, guys. I have a loft as my office, so it could be echoing. I'm so sorry. I've never seen that be a problem before. But please let me know if it is still echoing and it's only for the specific person. It could be that you have multiple sessions open. That has happened to other of my attendees. They actually opened multiple sessions accidentally, and then it does echo. So I would close your web browser completely and go back in. Okay, so guys, we're having some really cool questions come through, some of which I can definitely answer, some of which I can't, but I will explain why I can't. We can confirm that the data integrity option verify data only doesn't do any of the other options except verify history. Hold on. I just want to keep it open, guys, just so that we know which options we're talking about, because there are a few. But the verify history only looks at history headers, history lines. That's it. It doesn't look at anything else, guys. When it says verify history files only, it's actually referring to history headers, history lines, nothing else. So yes, that's all it's looking at. Now, this is a question where I said I can't answer it conclusively, and it's why do accounts go missing? I can speculate, because again, guys, as I said, all system environments are different. But why do accounts go missing? Generally, in a multi-user environment, it's because there's either a dip or a surge in the network, which drop packets. That would be that's why. But why there's a dip or there's a surge? We live in a country that has an unstable power grid, which I know you guys are sick of hearing, but guys, it is true. Even in a single user environment, you can get data corruption, and it is because we do live in a country with an unstable power grid. It unfortunately affects electronics, which affects live data sets. And Pastel is a live data set, and most of you that work in Pastel are probably working in it for hours at a time, if not all day. So guys, unfortunately, it can happen. It does have something to do with the power. In a multi-user environment, it's the power plus the network. How are things joined together? How are your switches configured? Are you hardwired or are you trying to use Wi-Fi? Again, guys, while some of you, and I know that we've had this debate before, but Wi-Fi can work with a live data set, guys, it's not recommended at all. And it's not recommended by anyone. But I do know some of you have managed to make that work, but there are risks involved. So if you are choosing to use Wi-Fi, understand that there may be times where packets are dropped and information disappears. So honestly, accounts going missing is just data corruption. It's just data corruption on the accounts disappearing, as opposed to the history lines disappearing, or as opposed to, you know, that specific scenario I spoke about where they had updated history headers and history lines, and then the packets updating the open item file and the customer file and the GLs, just like there's no other side of this transaction in the system. You can reprint, but nothing else. Again, that is where it dropped the packets. That's where something went wrong. So it went, yep, I'm updating this, yep, I'm updating this, and then just went there and just dropped everything on the floor. So that's where that all happens. So that's why I said I can't tell you exactly why it happens. We can speculate, we can chat. I can say, look, these are things that I would check. But again, guys, especially in a system environment, I am not an IT engineer. I can say to you, this is stuff that an IT engineer can check, but like I can't tell you how they need to set up their switches. No idea. I've never set up a switch in my life, but having, you know, a surge protector on all of your equipment is a good idea. Making sure that you have an inverter or whatever you want to use, so that should there be a power surge or a power dip, it doesn't affect anything. Great. But a lot of people will, for example, go, oh, I have a laptop, so I don't need that on there. Guys, that doesn't mean that the surge and the dip won't affect your PC. You're not doing anything to protect it. So the power still surges into it, or the dip still happens and your screen dips. So you actually need it on everything, including your switches. A lot of people forget to put their UPSs on switches, so it'll be on the servers and they'll go, well, my workstations are laptops, it's fine. No, not really. You need to protect everything then. So yes, UPSs can help, but of course that's a huge investment depending on how many users you have. your server, how your server room is set up, how many switches you have, where you'll need it. So guys, if the network goes down, again, it's just going to drop everything on the floor. Pastel doesn't actually have a rollback feature where, oh, my link to the server has broken. So this is specifically in a multi-user. I need to roll this back and wait until that link is reestablished. There is a way to do it, but guys, it makes pervasive so slow that most people don't. So I've played with this a lot, and it will be maybe a different webinar we'll do. But yeah, I can't tell you exactly why they go missing, but that it would be in that realm. Like everyone is different. So I don't know if that helps. We can confirm that the data integrity option verify data only doesn't do anything other than verify the history. Yes. Can you run inventory rebuild every day? Yeah, absolutely. It shouldn't do anything. If you want to make sure that that quantity is being as up to date as possible, yeah, absolutely. Look, as I said, do the backup just in case. I've only ever had data integrity running any of these ever apparently mess it up. Like it was something told to me and I trusted them that it was that messed up their data, and we just restored a backup, thank goodness. But guys, I've only ever seen that once. I've only ever had that reported once. So you can just make sure for your protection you have a backup, absolutely. Okay, cool, echo's gone. Does it do more than just verify? It must include verifying history lines and rebuild batch quantities. I ran verify data only and that fixed inventory. Okay, guys, maybe it does. Maybe I'm mistaken here. That is actually a very good point. Maybe it actually does do both. So, guys, we have one of our good BPs or top BPs who have joined the session, and they've made a very interesting statement. And that could absolutely be true, in which case I stand corrected, that the verify history files only. This actually fixed their inventory quantity. So they're saying that what they suspect it does is it actually joins these two. And that is very possible. I would have to confirm that. But even so, guys, that's not a bad thing. To be honest, it's really not a bad thing. And as I said, my main thing there was a lot of people do this and they think it'll fix the history lines that are missing. So they run it and they go and check and they're like, nothing's changed in the system really. And then they come back and run it again. They're like, but it's still showing me these lines aren't there. It's not going to fix your missing lines. That was my main point with that. But yeah, to my BP with that, you may absolutely be nail on the head. I would have to verify that though. I thought it only checked history headers and history lines, but based on what you're saying, that would make absolute sense that it actually combines the two then. So we'll confirm that, but guys, it may do both, but even if it does do both, that's not a bad thing, just saying. Okay, guys, are you happy if I move on? Just a simple yes in the chat would suffice. Okay, guys, fantastic. What I'm going to quickly do is, guys, it looks like they have resolved the issue, but I need to quickly reset that account so that I can actually show you how to upload your stuff properly. So, guys, hopefully you'll just bear with me very, very quickly while I quickly do that on the customer zone, because this is a section that I want to go through. Because I know that the zones have changed a lot at times. A lot of people are confused exactly where to go, how to run that, and it's very, very frustrating. So I just want to quickly do this. If you don't mind, it'll take me like 2 minutes. So guys, the next part of this will be us actually looking at, we've run data integrity, we've done our checks, we've verified the data. What do we do now? Where do we go now? Now, obviously, if it's given you a report, it's told you main sub-accounts, period imbalances, trial balance, out of balance, profit and loss, all of that stuff. If it has done that, then guys, obviously, what we would need to do is we would need to go and upload our backup. So that is where we are going to go as soon as I have quickly done this. Okay, guys, all of the things that I'm about to use here, firstly, one, I hope all of this works. And secondly, please note that you cannot use any of these numbers. This is not your customer number. This is not your data, guys. These are all from our internal test site. Those numbers that I am going to use are not yours. Please do not try to use them to upload data. It will not work. So all of this is just for testing purposes. I'm going to change my screen back. And guys, what you should be seeing is you should be seeing the customer zone. Now, if you can't see that, please let me know. I'm hopefully on the correct screen. Guys, someone's saying that they need a little coffee break. Guys, would you like me to give you like 3, 4, 5 minutes so that you can have a little coffee break, go to the bathroom if you need to? Please let me know in the chat. If you want me to do that, that's also fine. Okay, guys, everyone's saying that they're actually okay. So I think maybe you use those couple of minutes that I was quickly just making sure I can log in. So then I'm going to continue based on what came through the majority. Oh, okay, guys, sorry, someone said, can they have a quick 5-minute break? Other people are saying, can we continue? Okay, guys, it seems pretty much of a muchness. So I'm kind of between whether I continue or not, because someone does need us to continue because they pressed for time. Please remember that this is recorded. So if you do need to go somewhere quick, it's fine. Guys, what I'm going to be going through for those of you who maybe do need a break, I'm just going to show the various ways of making a backup. So in the system and a manual backup. It's nothing major. If you do know how to do that, you're not missing much. That's what I'm going to be doing, but it seems like some people are pressed for time. So I'm going to continue. I'm so sorry, but that's all that I'm going to be doing before I go in. Most people are asking for me to continue. Cool. Okay, guys, so once you've received your report and you have errors, and they are not just an account error, you know, missing account or that, it's, you know, your transaction does not balance to the GL or main period imbalances. There are a number of errors that can be returned on data integrity, but it will print out a report. That generally means that you now need to send your data through to us as a data fix. And my honest advice is send it through as soon as you can. Look, obviously there are times where you just can't have that kind of downtime, but depending on the errors, depends on if your financial reports are actually going to be accurate. So you generally do want to send it through. Yes, if you have open item out of balance and that's the only thing that you really have, then no, guys, you can maybe go, okay, I'm going to wait till a Friday and book it in on like Friday morning because I'll get it back on Monday morning. That's understandable, or like Friday midday. You can try to do that as well. there are people who have said to me, Joe, I can't afford the downtime. I'm like, can you afford like from 1 o'clock on Friday? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's book it in then. And you should, not will, but should get it back Monday morning, latest Monday midday. So guys, there are those things that you can try, those little tweaks if you are like, I really need to minimize this downtime. Those of you in retail, unfortunately, Datafix doesn't work on weekends. So I understand it's really difficult, but then book it in as soon as possible and get it done as soon as possible. And guys, please don't book everything in at year end. As I said, most people use that time to do it, and then it just makes it really long. You know, then your turnaround time is even worse. So guys, what do? Well, if you were able to run a data integrity from within Pastel, you can make a backup from within Pastel, which is as simple as file, backup. I normally do prefer say new folder and go data for fixing, just because I don't want to upload an incorrect backup, guys. There's nothing more frustrating for you guys, not even for us, than having uploaded incorrect data. We send it back and you're like, no, this is wrong. And then when we go check it, we're like, well, this is what we have. And then you realize, oh, flip, I uploaded a month ago's data. I didn't upload the backup I did. Obviously, if you are running Sage 50 Cloud, Pastel Accounting, it will date, time stamp, and even version stamp it. But I prefer doing the folder. I just feel it's safer. A little mini tip there. Create a folder and go data for fixing. Done. Then guys, the other way that you can do this, and this wouldn't generally be if you're getting integrity errors, because it means that you wouldn't be able to run that. But if at any point you're getting specific errors trying to open your Pastel, you actually cannot get into a company, even if you can open other companies. There are specific problems happening and you need to send the data through to us for testing or for a data fix. Guys, all that you do is you do a manual backup. Now again, it is easier if you can do it into a folder. Generally, you can't. You need to know exactly where it is, and that's where being able to read the Windows date and timestamp is important. Because, guys, all that you do is you click on your data, right-click, and say send to compress zip. That's it. That is a manual backup. And then you can upload that. So here you could see it. You could then go put it in a folder called data for fixing, just to make sure you don't upload the wrong thing. But here you will notice that as a manual backup, these two, they don't have the date, timestamp, financial year, version. None of that is on here. All that it does is zip them. And that's often where we find that the wrong backup's been uploaded. So this is the Windows date and timestamp, really important to check it out. But obviously, if you're also in a rush, it does happen. That's why, again, I do that. You know, it stops me from having to like check all these fiddly little niggly things, because I know that the correct data is in there. Then guys, we come to our zones. So guys, these have changed a lot. A lot of people don't know the web address anymore. They're not sure, how do I even get there? So the quickest way that I get here, because I myself do not know it off by heart, is I will go to sagekb.com. It'll open up the knowledge base. Please select Sage 50 Cloud Pastel Accounting. Again, guys, if you search on the main screen without going into your product, it is going to search every product, and then you may feel frustrated because you're going to go, but this isn't what I asked for. We advise that you please go into your product. I don't know why it's now taking 50 years, but it is. From here, I then search Datafix, because that's what it's under. It is the Datafix upload and download procedures. And then, guys, in that article, which I will come back and show you, I'm not sure why suddenly it doesn't want to open. There we go. That took forever. Basically, I searched. Okay, guys, so yeah, my KB is having an issue. It just seems to be one of those days. It should open up a list of articles, and within that article, you saw that I was actually in it. It gave me the address. There we go. Obviously, there was either my network or the actual site itself. So guys, either you can go into the upload or the download procedures, and I have hyperlinked the address here, so you can literally click on it and it will open it up for accounting. It is portal.sage.co.za, so it's not difficult, but I have to remember a lot of URLs, so it's not one that I've already stored. And then it's accounting, because if you just do that, you will then have to select whether it's accounting or payroll. Again, not a big deal. You can just go accounting and it'll open up. Then guys, from here, you're going to enter your customer number. This is my test customer number. You get your customer number by being in Pastel and going help and about. You will notice that my customer number is 0 because I'm not using a valid serial number, but you will get your customer number here. You would enter that in, and then you are going to enter the password that you have created. If this comes up, guys, please select your user. So depending on your administrator, they may have needed to create you as your own user because they can set certain permissions and things that you can do in the zones. You would then, like me, select your user, and then you would again enter your password. Then you would select your serial number. Again, guys, this is my test serial number. They've given me a specific one, so I just need to make sure that I am selecting that one. ODAB. I don't see the one that they've given me on the list, so let's hope one of these works. I think that there's a typo somewhere, but it worked. Fantastic. So guys, now we are in the new customer zone. So this is generally where you need to go to upload your data. And you'll see that this is where you would check your accounts information, and then you are at your support. So guys, for DataFix, you're going to go to support, data management, and you're going to go to DataFix. But something that you will notice is that if you aren't automatically taken there, you can click here. But guys, if a incident has not been made for you, you will only get this far, and then you're not going to be able to select a reference. So unfortunately, with data fixing, you would need to send an email to supportsa@sage.com, or you would need to phone us and go, look, I have data integrity errors. I need to send my data in for a data fix. Please, can you create the reference number for me and give me the reference number? Either they will send you the reference number on email with the steps that you need to log in, or they will tell you this is what it is and you can follow the steps that I've just taken. Here, support, data management, data fix, or if it's a data investigation, data investigation. You then would click the drop down and you would hopefully see your reference number that has been given to you here. Guys, please don't use an old reference number, because if, like this one was from July 2020, I knew it was there, so I just left it just so that I could show you how it works. But guys, if you booked your data in, for example, in July 2020, we've fixed your data, everything's fine, we've sent it back to you. Technically, they should have closed the incident. But if they didn't, and it's still in progress, one, let us know and be like, guys, this is completed, please close it. But if it does say complete, guys, you reopening it does not mean DataFix is going to know what to fix. You can't just open an old incident and go, hey, I've got errors on my data integrity, here, fix this data, because there's no way for you to tell us what's going on here. So please don't do that. We have seen that happen and we get very confused. We're like, why are you reopening this? This is from like 8 months ago. We fixed your data. That's why I said you will need to phone us or you will need to email us, because we need to give you a new reference number that you can use that will have the information of what is wrong for the DataFix team to fix. If they don't know what's wrong, they don't know what to fix. They don't just get data and run data integrity and go, oh, this must be it. we do need to tell them it is this problem, it is this thing. Hey, it's the data integrity has errors. Obviously, they do always check the data integrity that it does not have errors. But what if your data is being booked in because you're actually having that open item error that I spoke about that does not show on the integrity reports? Because there are two fields in the data table and they are not matching. That's why it happens. So it technically isn't an open item out of balance. It's just two fields are reading incorrectly. And when it does the check, it checks the one field, not the other. You're going to feel quite frustrated when you get your data back and you're like, but that isn't fixed. Just because your integrity errors are fixed does not mean the problem you booked it in for is, so please get a new reference number. Then guys, yes, it does help us if you can tell us what the software build number is. You find that again, help and about, and you can see it here, build 1935. So I can enter that. But a lot of the time, if it is date and time stamped, it is also version stamped. So if you don't enter it, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it does help us, as does entering the database password. It helps us to know what that is. But guys, if you do not send it to us because you're like, you know what, I don't feel right sending you the password, we do have ways of retrieving it that are safe and still maintain the protection of your data. And then guys, you need to choose the file. So this is where obviously having that folder helps, and hopefully this opens sooner rather than later. Okay, so guys, unfortunately, this is just the system taking its time. It's supposed to allow me to browse. And this is where I would browse on my PC and I would go to my file, data to upload, or data for fixing, whatever I called it. I don't know why it doesn't, yeah, it just doesn't want to populate. Again, these are unfortunately things that happen in live demonstrations. That should come in, basically it's very similar to your Windows browser. I would obviously navigate and go and select. Sorry, it seems like my Windows is doing its wonderful, does not want to work with File Explorer, and this means that I have to turn off my whole PC. So guys, unfortunately, this is as far as I might only be able to get, which sucks, and I'm really sorry, but yeah, my computer decided to not engage my File Explorer. So guys, from here, you would select that file and you would click on upload. Now, again, guys, this is where a lot of people tend to get a bit frustrated because we'll get calls, well, my data's not uploading. You know, I've clicked on it, I came back 3 hours later and nothing's happened. Guys, are you aware, and a lot of people are not, but I'm going to now inform you, are you aware that internet browsers time out? So if you click and you know it's a big data set, you know, it's a huge zipped folder, and you go for lunch, it may very well time out. You actually, even if you are continuing to work, you need to come back and move your mouse in the Internet Explorer that you're using, or the browser that you've chosen to use, in order to make sure it's not timing out so that it can upload. So I normally will do a bit of work, come back, just move my mouse around, then go back to working, come back, move my mouse around. And guys, what you want to see is you actually want to see the file under files that need to be fixed. The moment you see that, you can close all of this and then you wait on us. That's how it works. Yeah, that's so not going to work. Okay, hopefully you can all still hear me. I'm going to have to force close my system now. Okay. So guys, likewise, actually downloading your information is the same. I'm just going to stick here because I don't want to break anything worse. Again, my apologies if my system's done this. But when we send you an email, we will tell you, hey, everything's been done. Your data is ready for you to download. You will log in exactly the same way. So guys, again, you will go to support, you will go to data, and you will select data fix. Oh, eventually. That took 5 years. So guys, this is obviously for me to browse, and I put it here and upload. Now guys, as I said, you will see this, and basically I just, like, this should be a very quick upload. It's not a big file. It's like, I think less than 30 megabytes. So all that you do is you basically move your mouse every now and then it will look exactly like that, which is awesome. Now guys, for me to make it appear under here, I would have to do a whole lot of stuff again, and I'd have to turn off my screen. And I don't think it's necessary because the process is pretty much the same. You're gonna log in, you're gonna go to support, data management, data fix. Investigations are obviously for us to check stuff, but you know, if it needs to be a data fix, we will normally tell you, and you can then say to us, look, use that data, I'll upload fresh data. So normally when you are downloading data, you are going to go to data fix. You're not going to go to data investigation. Again, you would select your reference number, and then guys, there will be a file here with a download option, not a delete option, but a download option. You would click on that option, and it is going to download your data set. Now, depending on what internet browser you choose to use, depends on where it will download. So I know some of them, you can choose where it downloads. You can tell it, yes, I want you to download to my downloads. I want you to download to my desktop or wherever. If it asks you to choose, honestly, tell it to go put it in your pastel folder where all of your companies are. That, okay, again, it's doing its thing, so let's not worry. But guys, that's what it's going to, like, if you can choose, put it directly in the pastel folder. I don't know if my system's going to make me do it. Yeah, it will. So guys, if that occurs, do that. But a lot of browsers will download directly to your downloads. And so guys, I'm checking a couple of sets, so you can see I've downloaded quite a lot of data, but it should appear in my downloads then. I've downloaded my fixed data. If that happens, we do advise that you please come here and you copy your data. Now you can do that by clicking on the zip folder, pressing Control and C, or you can right click and say copy. Then we are going to navigate to our pastel folder where all of our companies are. So guys, if your workstation, we do advise that you do this on the server. Please don't do this on your workstation because otherwise no one else will have access to the data. But then basically you can paste the data. For example, if it is, you know, the server, you can paste it over the network drive. So you would select the MAC drive and just paste the zip folder in there. Now, obviously, that zip folder was not time and date stamped. It was just normal zip folder, and you can see it's pasting it here. And we can see our company. Now, guys, in that event, all that you should have to do now is actually open your pastel, open the company, and do a file restore. And once you've restored that, and again, guys, this is probably going to take forever because it's trying to access my file explorer, and my IT actually need to format this machine. That gives me a lot of issues. Some days it works, some days it doesn't. Today is one of those days. So I have booked this in, and they will tell me when they will format my machine. But basically, you will select that and you will navigate to that specific zip folder and restore it. It should be that simple. Once you've run the restore, you should be able to view your reports and make sure that they work. In the event that that does not work, so sometimes, guys, it does happen where you do that and you're like, yeah, my information still looks wrong. What I do is I will actually physically come here. Either I will make a manual backup quickly just in case, but if I know that I've got a backup, and no offense, the backup from DataFix is what I want, all that I do is I choose to actually delete the file. In this case, I can't because a whole lot of stuff is going on. So I'm going to move to a different folder very quickly just to simulate this. So I would delete the folder, and then, guys, let's see if it will hopefully paste my zip folder here. The option here is to manually unzip the folder. And the way that you manually unzip a folder is you just right click, and depending on which zip program you're using, I'm using 7-zip, I then have a number of options. So it goes open archive, extract files here, extract to demo. Now guys, please never use the extract here option. That is a very dangerous option, because if I select that, it is literally going to dump everything in this folder directly into the pastel folder, turning it into a company. It's not going to put it in a folder called demo. It will unzip it into the pastel folder. So this is where I use two options. I either go extract files, or I will say extract to and whatever the folder name is, for example, demo. The reason that I use extract files is, especially if it's time and date stamped, guys, a folder name can only be 8 characters long, and it can only be alphanumeric, either numeric, or just alphanumeric. You cannot have special characters, you cannot have spaces. It will give you a runtime error 5 at some point. So if you have data that has the whole date and timestamp, and basically that looks like this. So if I had to do that, it would look like this. And as you can see, guys, that, and a lot of people do this, it's a very, very common mistake. And then they'll just add the company like that, and it's got this whole long time date stamp thing on it. And it's like, yeah, no, please don't do that. If you do that, you are going to have to select this, rename, and you're going to have to remove that to make sure that it's just the folder name. Maximum 8 characters. As you can see, guys, an underscore is fine, a dash is fine, but things like cash, exclamation, star, inverted commas, no. And honestly, I wouldn't even put the underscore. It's just that's how Pastel chose to put the demo in. It is okay, an underscore, a dash, even a full stop, and a comma, but anything outside of that, and Pastel or Pervasive doesn't like it. So honestly, alphanumeric, like what a lot of these people have done, you would do that. Now, as you can see, I can't actually change it because I already have a demo, and it's like you already have that, so I would have had to call it A. But please make sure that you remove that, or alternatively, you can unzip it, and you can say unzip. As I said, you could do it this way, where you go, extract files, and then here you can just delete all of that information, make it exactly the folder name you want, and just go OK. So guys, that's called a manual restore. And then you know for a fact that is the backup that I am restoring. It has to have the correct information. If what you said was wrong has not been fixed, then absolutely you give us a call and you go, guys, I've restored this backup. It is wrong. Because we, in that instance, guys, we keep the data for, I think, a week or two. After that, we delete the data, the before data and the after data. The reason we keep it is if you say to us, look, something's wrong, we can, on our side, go and check that data. We check the before, we check the after, and we can go, oh, yeah, we totally see that wasn't fixed. We're so sorry for whatever reason. Or we can go, on our side, it is correct. Can I re-upload the fixed data? Because again, guys, we're also only human on our side, and maybe we selected the wrong backup. But generally, I would do the manual restore before I phone us, just to be 100% sure that, look, it's definitely the data fix backup that I've got. I've definitely restored that, and it's not working. But to do that, guys, please don't leave. So a lot of the time I also see this where you don't actually delete the company, you leave it there, and then people are just like, yeah, I'm just going to unzip this and tell it to overwrite. Guys, I have seen that work sometimes, but a lot of the time what it does is it just basically creates a folder in a folder. So in this case, still create a folder in a folder. You can change that. I would. But guys, what I'll see is you'll have all of your DAT files here, and then there'll be another folder called demo. That is actually the file that we fixed, but you're still in the first version of demo. So I don't know if that makes sense. I choose to delete to avoid that. So I choose this version just because I want to make sure that there is no chance of it creating an unzip in the actual folder. And then I'm like, which folder am I meant to look in here? I'm really confused because I've seen data like that where it's got the company, all the files, then another company folder with all the files, and then another company folder with all the files. And I'm like, which one are you working in? Because yikes. So it should technically be as simple as the basically only one company file and then immediately your DAT files. So guys, in this instance, do that. Sorry, as I said, my file explorer is not populating very well today. And guys, as you see, because I didn't say extract to and the folder name, I just said extract, it created my file, and this is ultimately what you want to see, just my company name, all of my DAT files. You don't want to see another company in there. That is how we do that. That is how it works. That's how you restore. Guys, do we have any questions about this? Because I know that part, even the restoring part, a lot of people get like caught up on that. They're like, I don't know how to restore this. This isn't working. So those are the ways that I do it, and 9 out of 10 times that works. And yes, guys, this is recorded. Someone asked that. This is recorded. It does take some time for the recording to populate. So guys, I will have to turn this into a YouTube video, but all of you that have attended, you tomorrow should get a message thanking you for attending. It should give you a certificate, guys. Unfortunately, it just says topic webinar. It doesn't state that you attended this specific topic. I have not found a way, and the company whose webinar software we use has not found a way to allow me to edit that every time to state what it is. I'm so sorry. But if you do want to send it through to the BP2 channel, again, they say that it's meant to count for CPE points. Please don't hold me to that. I've tried to talk to them. But guys, if you do send it through to them and they need me to confirm the topic or confirm the time, I'm happy to do it for you. You should get that certificate stating thank you for attending. There should be a link there, guys, for you to please rate the session, rate me, provide feedback, and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions shortly that I'm going to ask you to provide feedback on. And guys, it should include the recording. That was where I was going with that. So you should get it tomorrow at around this time, 11-ish. So just so you know, yes, you will get it. I will then also convert this video to a YouTube video, guys. All of the videos from last year that had really pertinent information in have all been converted to YouTube videos. The ones that are missing, I honestly didn't feel would add value as YouTube videos. I didn't do the one that I did in December, which was things to remember when going on leave, because guys, really it was basically a common knowledge, you should know this, which most of you did, and I was like, I'm really not going to put that out there. I didn't see its value as a YouTube video, but all the others are. The status errors, the runtime errors, the email errors, the Sage Intelligence errors, we converted all of those to videos for you. They're on Sage City as well as YouTube. When I say Sage City, the links are there, so you just have to click on them. So guys, I'm not seeing any questions come up. I am going to stop recording now, and thank you all for attending.